So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this morning, I'm delighted to have with us Ben Whitaker, who's Managing Director at Power Engineering Services. So, firstly, Ben, if you thank you for coming on board. If you'd like to introduce yourself and PES, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me on, Chris. I'm Ben Whitaker, Managing Director of Power Engineering Services. We are a primary power business specialising in refurbished substation equipment, battery tripping units, installation, and an independent connections provider. We also provide a follow-on service of operation and maintenance agreements.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So just a matter of interest, what would make an A grade client for you? Who are the sort of people you work directly for?
The perfect project for PES would be anybody with a substation, in essence. So from the power supply in the street, connected by a high voltage, through to the metering apparatus, any private network substations,
Yeah.
and then obviously provision of our own products and systems on there behind the meter. And to offer a full turnkey, we'd wrap it up with an operation and maintenance agreement. So it's anyone with requirement for substations or high voltage power.
Perfect. Well, look, Ben, if we start perhaps looking a little bit about your background, how you got into business and why this particular one, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so I went right down the traditional route of an apprenticeship scheme with Power Engineering Services and progressed through to electric HV fitter, protection and testing engineer, and quality inspections. Then I embarked on a wider world of contracting, going into a business development role with IUS, who are a subsidiary of Northern Power Grid, another contractor in between, then a startup, and then I came full circle and seeked funding to buy the business out, where I first started at PES back in 2010, I think it was. I started.
Wonderful. What a great story. So you started as an apprentice at PES, and now you've bought the business and you're managing director of the same business.
Yeah, it's great because you've got a lot of old faces here. You know, guys that trained me out there from my early days, straight out of school, and all things like that. And you know, a lot of new faces still, but the core principles and values are still there, and the business continues to grow. So it's great to be a part of it.
Brilliant. Absolutely wonderful. I think you're the second, possibly the third person I've interviewed who started as an apprentice at the business they now own and run. I just think it's a wonderful story and also a great, I think, a great credit to the apprentice process and system. That the organisations, you know, recruit people through that process to give them a great potential career, and then obviously people like yourself go to the heights of being able to then own and run that business itself.
Yeah, it's been a great path for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I did feel like at the time I was missing out some of the perks of being at university, opposed to being in a van up in Scotland, responding to faults and all things like that. But it certainly was. And it meant I had to tread the hard yards. And it's, you know, I'm really appreciative that I did take that route and I was guided that way, you know, via the apprenticeship schemes and everything.
Brilliant. Yeah, as I say, I meet lots and lots of businesses, a lot in engineering, and I guess that lends itself to that. But who have gone down the route of doing this, and it's just such a great way for people that, as you say, it's a different route. You know, of my two kids, one has gone to university, the other one I don't think will. And you know, there's pros and cons with both, isn't there? But with the cost of education now as well, in terms of the debts that can rack up, apprenticeship is a brilliant route for many people to get the skills they need.
Absolutely.
So looking back, when you were growing up, Ben, is this what you foresaw yourself doing, or did you have any other different plans at that point?
Aside from being a footballer and driving monster trucks,
Brilliant.
quite inspired. No, it's what I was guided by my dad, who was also worked in the power industry for the majority of his life, and what he said to me was that, you know, you'll never be out of a job, so just do the apprenticeship and see where you're at. Now, as soon as I got a taste for this industry, there's so many sides to it, so much diversity. I've never looked back, really, and you know, there's always a challenge, and it's something that I think that where there's a challenge for anyone in any walk of life, there's interest. So
Yeah.
That's what's kept me going over the years, and it's proved me well. It served me well, really.
Brilliant. And looking at this business and in your previous career, what are some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome so far?
I would say being thrust in at the deep end. I think certainly on the with the hands-on side of things. We would what we pride ourselves on at PES is we use the term engineer rather than industry standard, which would be like HV fitter or cable jointer, for example, because we've got multi-skilled guys. Now, what I was up against at the time during my apprenticeship was essentially make this work and a little bit of trial and error. Now what we've got here in the production facility in Leeds is a contained and environment where you can trial and error. You're not under fault conditions. It's the best place to learn, really. And it's overcoming those sorts of challenges. That could be anything. It might be a circuit breaker from the 1960s that's you just can't get anymore, and a site needs it to get it live. Make it work, and it's that sort of approach which obviously transpired into the fault finding and protection and commissioning side of things. That spilled over into the commercial side of business as well, and there's always a way, without sounding too corny, there's always a way, and it's applying that engineering philosophy to the wider business activity that I really enjoy personally.
Brilliant. I think it's that the mindset of going from can I to how can I, and as soon as we start to say how can I, we have to find an answer to the question, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what would you say are the biggest learnings you have about running, growing businesses or business in general?
Well, it's all new to me, certainly in a directorship position. However, like I say, every day is a school day, and just overcoming any sort of obstacles that may arise. But I'd like to think the path that I trod it gave me enough experience in that kind of thing. Obviously being involved in a startup as well, where you have no website, nobody knows your name, you're at home with a laptop. Now you don't get the work, you don't get paid. So that certainly put a few hairs on my chest with regards to walking back into power engineering services. And like we said, there's always a way, and it's finding that way, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's a great point. So you've been involved in a startup business, and you've also been involved in buying PS. How do you come, what would you say the differences are between starting from scratch and procuring something that already exists?
Well, it's an absolute luxury being here, because we're going through a modernization process. We're implementing new systems and all things like that. But the fact that PES is such an established business, and Mark Gray's done such a great job building it up from scratch. The hard yards for him were 20 odd years ago when it was founded. Now we've got the luxury of repeat customers who are all going to benefit from these system upgrades and all things like that. But the work just comes to it. There is a queue around the block for people that want to work with PES, and now what we're looking at doing is scaling that gradually and sustainably. And getting that message out, getting a bit more of a voice within the marketplace, and letting people know how great we are, really, and like I say, just growing it sustainably.
So that's great to see that you've got a whole bunch of people that want to work with you. What would you say are the key reasons that stand you out from maybe other similar organisations? I won't say competition. I don't really believe in it.
Well, with PES, like I say, I suppose it goes back to the terminology that we use internally of engineers. I think where our competitors are such are highly skilled and all things like that, that they're not stripping components and transformers and switchgear down to the bare bones and repurposing them, modifications. It's a real thoroughbred engineering setup that we've got here. Now, it serves brilliant for us when we're out in the field as well, because we've got a base. We've got spares, ancillaries, Aladdin's cave back in the stores there, of anything that you need. And it's such a unique environment, because we actually, in like you say, in some terms, our competition, they need us. They use us as spares and to help them. And the power industry is just thriving at the moment. There's so much work out there that it's leading by example and saying, let's work together here,
Brilliant.
So it's a really unique set of circumstances, but boy, what an asset, like I say, factory full of transformers that are recycled and reusable. Brilliant. There's obviously a sustainability message that goes with that as well. Yes. So yeah, it's a unique business.
It's great to see. In my career so far, I've always believed and come to the belief that, I've never met two businesses, however much they look similar, that directly overlap each other. In other words, there wasn't a gap where working together would make sense. I totally get if it was like 90%, you probably would consider them a direct competitor. But when you can search for the gaps where, if we work together, what would we both benefit from? It opens up a whole world of collaboration, I think. Yeah,
definitely. And like you say, we've got what could be seen as our competitors, but we fall different niches of the market sector. We might lean more towards the bespoke engineering side. They might be a bit more standardized and production focused, production line focused, but we help each other. And for me, it's great to see, especially with us primarily all being in the north of England as well, all working together. And like I said, there's enough work out there for everyone, so it's not that sort of fierce, cutthroat environment, and it's good industries to be in.
It's lovely. That abundant attitude is so valuable. I think there's more than enough work out there, so why don't we help each other rather than scarcity mentality of trying to grab it all and hold it? So that's wonderful. And I think you're probably aware we're a business coaching organisation. I'm just keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you?
Well, I've had the benefit of some great managers and line directors over the years, and I'd like to think I've taken a little bit from all of them. There was a guy at IUS called Tony Askins that served me really, really well. He taught me the commercial side, how to present myself in meetings and all things like that. He had me in a tie every day, and I duplicated what he was doing. So I saw him in a tie every day. I thought, right, need to wear a tie now. Brilliant. There's Tony, obviously Mark Ray of previous as well. I've got some great guidance with my fellow shareholders here now as well, with Graham Foxcroft and Ashley Wood. The guys that have been there in different business lines of business and in industries. But it's all these mentors spilled in, and like you say, even in the personal life as well. Big on football and playing in teams, and then spilling into coaching with my knee packed in. So. It's all these different elements that you can spill into your day to day in a business setting as well. And I'm really thankful that I've had these people around me and to offer that sort of guidance.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And have you picked up any favourite quotes or sayings that you catch yourself using quite a lot?
There's a man in Barnsley, and I won't say his name, but he says power never sleeps, and we had a really good laugh about that about 10 years ago at the time, and we'd use it as a bit of an anecdote when we're speaking to him. But he's right, the phone's always on, and you don't know when you're going to get a call. But yeah, we found that were a particularly punchy one.
I like that. Yeah, it is it's. We had a conversation before, and my background a long time ago was in generation, and it's the ultimate just-in-time delivery service. You can't store it any much of it anywhere. So we've got everything's got to be running all the time.
Well, that's it. I mean, we had a call out earlier on in the week up in Inverness in Scotland, and in all honesty, we could have done without that at the time. We had plenty of projects on the go, men all over the place. We've got to respond, and the power industry is such a sort of like you say, unpredictable place that that's nature of the beast.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a fascinating world. Before I moved into it, I was brought up. I was trained as a software engineer rather than a power engineer or anything. And just learning how power stations work is just an amazing thing. And obviously, and then how the distribution grid and how all of that needs to be maintained at the right frequency across the country is just incredible. Absolutely. And talking about learning, Ben, what would you say you've learned about yourself so far on your journey?
I think that you've always got more in the tank, basically. I think you can always give a little bit more, and it's dealing things in a methodical and timely manner, you know, dealing with each action in individual slices, as opposed to trying to take on the world, you know, just right, full focus on this particular thing that I've got to get done. And anything's achievable, you know. Whilst the acquisition's been going on, I've been balancing home life and my daughter being born just coming up to a year ago now.
Oh wow.
So, you know, when you think back, you think, oh, I've had a lot on in 2024, but yeah, anything can be done if you break it down into individual slices.
Brilliant. Love it. Love it. And so looking forward, Ben, what does the future look like for you guys? And what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
Well, thankfully, touch wood, the power industry is thriving at the moment, and I think we're all here to ride the wave of the sort of electrification of the country.
Yeah.
But you know, it's keeping true to our core values and the values that made PES the business that it is, and not losing sight of that. You know, we will grow, we will get more people, but it's keeping them core values and that sort of family orientated setting and feel to the place, you know, that lack of corporate regime as such. That's where we really want to keep hold of that.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And I'm keen to know what you'd say to anyone that was thinking of going into business right now.
I'd say do it. And the main thing is, as you probably can tell, don't be shy of blowing your own trumpet. You know, I think that's how we get out there and get the name out. And any business needs to thrive. There's some phenomenal tools. You know, the social media side of things. If you like anything like me and sad enough to be on LinkedIn all weekend as opposed to Facebook and Instagram, you know, it's a great platform to get your name out and use these tools strategically to help you with that growth. And more than anything, give the guys some recognition for the hard work that they're doing, because other people love to consume that.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Recognition so key, isn't it, to build that positive attitude.
Absolutely.
And looking back, if you started again, is there anything you significantly think you might do differently?
Not really. You know, honestly, I think the hard yards, being in a trench in Scotland at 2 a.m. when I was 17, you know, that is what that excels you, you know, and it's experience that's so valued. And it might not be much fun at the time, but you know, it's really what excels you. So I don't think I've got any regrets, and touch wood, moving forward, I won't have any more to come either.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I really hope so, and hope that doesn't happen. And finally, what would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do so? Do you think, Ben?
Spend less time in the pub and more time reading.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Yeah, a very sound advice. I probably should have taken some of that myself too, but all good. Well, Ben, it's been really fascinating to talk to you, and you know, congratulations on what you've achieved so far. Especially, I totally understand, you know, buying a business and taking on the responsibility for what you've got is wonderful. And it'd be great to you know, swing by in another 6-12 months and just see the next stages of the development of what you're doing, if that works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, anytime.
Brilliant. Well, in the meantime, thank you so much. And for anyone that's watching would like to get in touch with you or PS, what would be the best way to do that?
Either via email or on the landline. Details are available on our new website. So yeah, feel free to go on to pesleads.co.uk and you'll find everything you need on there.
Wonderful. Well, for now, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chris.